Every few months or so, I like to go back into the deep parts of the internet and try to uncover a new list of Pokemon theories, and the committed fans of the franchise never disappoint. So here I am again today to present to you Fascinating Pokemon Theories number 12. If you've been watching these videos for a while now, you may remember the theory pertaining to the similarities between Gengar and Clefable, and in the same vein as that hypothesis, some have discovered that there may be a relationship between Gallade and Bisharp. For one, Gallade is the Blade Pokemon, while Bisharp is the Sword Blade Pokemon. Secondly, they are both 5 feet 3 inches tall. Thirdly, while Gallade is 114 pounds, Bisharp is only 1 pound heavier at 115. Fourthly, if you look at their pre-evolutions, they both have similarly placed bumps on their heads. Finally, their shiny color palette swaps for all 4 Pokemon just so happen to be blue. So what does this all mean? Well, perhaps Gallade and Bisharp are the polar opposites of each other, since the games describe Gallade as a protector of Pokemon, while Bisharp is known to be an attacker. So perhaps while one is meant to dignify offense, the other is defense. On a much darker note, according to a Bulbapedia entry about Anistar City, it states that in a house 2 spots north of the boutique, an old man can be found depressed because of the death of his wife. He will ask the player to lend him any Pokemon level 5 or under to keep him company for the time being. After defeating the Elite Four, the player can return to the house only to find that the old man had passed away and left behind a Pokeball containing the Pokemon you lent to him, a letter thanking the player for their kindness, and a Comet Shard. Also, if you look by the city's gym, you'll find an escape rope, which some have theorized is where the old man had committed suicide. Some claim that the elderly man no longer wanted to live, and while the player's Pokemon kept him company, at the end of the day it couldn't help him overcome his depression, so that's when he decided to hang himself at the east side of the gym, leaving a Comet Shard and a letter in his home. This would also explain the escape part of the escape rope, meaning his escaping of depression, with the rope being a noose. We all know that in the main series games, we are expected to catch a Pokemon and train them in an attempt to level them up so they'll evolve. But what if the concept that Pokemon evolve at a certain level isn't as set in stone as the game mechanics imply? This would explain why Lance is able to have a Dragonite before it's even possible. Some have proposed that instead Pokemon evolve when they're ready. The Elite Four member Lance has been working with dragons for most of his life and is extremely good at it. While Ash and most other trainers are becoming skilled with Pokemon, they're still beginners. The reason Dragonair evolves into Dragonite for them at level 55 is because Dragonair isn't ready until then. Lance, having far more experience with Dragonairs than anyone else, can raise them so well that they evolve into Dragonite earlier than expected. This would also explain why there are some wild Pokemon out there that should have evolved several levels ago but haven't. Since they have no one to help them train to be the best like no one ever was, they are left in their current form. As for how one of Lance's Dragonites is able to perform the move Barrier, perhaps he's just so great at what he does that he was somehow able to teach it to them anyway. If you think about it, trainers can run across multiple people in each game that can teach Pokemon a technique, some of which they're not able to learn naturally, which makes this theory seem more convincing. To wrap up this video, I'll have fellow YouTuber ABrandonToThePast share today's final theory.
In recent months, there's been a popular Pokemon theory going around that makes claim that Koffing and Weezing were failed attempts to artificially recreate Gastly Haunter by Team Rocket. The first piece of reasoning behind this is that ghost Pokemon are the best thieves, since they're able to go through walls, disappear in an instant, and can scare their victims. Rather than trying to catch a few ghost types in Kanto, Team Rocket instead schemed to develop their own Gastly Haunter. Comparable to how Gastly is a living ball of gas, they genetically engineered their own gas particles from other poisonous Pokemon, like Grimer and Zubat, and put them into balloon-like structures, with the end result creating Koffing. Gastlys weren't very useful at stealing since they have no hands, so Team Rocket attempted to evolve their creation to resemble a Haunter by blending more into one creation. However, the result was Weezing, a weird mass that had no hands or ghost-like abilities. Instead, it was a hideous creation with a face that looked constantly in misery. After this, Team Rocket abandoned the project and gave some of their creations to grunts for fighting, while releasing the rest into the wild.
Well, there you have an incredible 12th batch of fascinating Pokemon theories, and if you have any of your own that haven't been covered in the show so far, which I honestly can't believe how that could be, please feel free to leave them in the comments below. So until next time, thanks for watching.